you win in workers' comp in the sense that you have to have a trial and you win, well, fine. If you were to lose, workers' compensation allows you to go to the appellate division, as does pensions. So what happens in pensions is that when you have your hearing, the decision goes back to the board, which is the agency. And then from the agency, if you don't like that decision, you have the ability to appeal that decision and go to the appellate division. So that's procedurally from those two, you go from those decisions to the appellate division. And in Social Security, because it's a federal system, you go from a hearing in front of a judge to what's called the appeals council, who will review the judge's decision. And then if you still lose, you have the opportunity to actually go to federal court. Now, we as a firm don't go that high in terms of Social Security matters. I usually refer those out to another attorney who's a friend of mine. But we do go to the appeals council. Now, if we go to the appellate division and we lose there, then procedurally, you have the ability to then go to the New Jersey Supreme Court. So I did want to just speak today a little bit about the sort of the procedure. And what I wanted to do was sort of go through a little bit in terms of the timelines of things. Because again, with this, you know, what's the status, what's the status? I wanted to make sure that we were focused and everybody sort of understood that with each of these things, there are delays that are outside of the realm of our control. And the other part of it too is that, again, as a reminder, is that each of these things, the workers' comp, the Social Security, and the pensions for the most part, these are all contingency fee systems. So that means that until these cases resolve, we're not receiving a fee. So anybody who thinks that I'm just sitting around not wanting to move their case, they should understand that it does me no good, 0 on the good scale, if your cases aren't moving because I'm not getting paid. So I think there's sometimes a thought that like, well, I called and I texted 2 days ago. So did 40 other people, and I'm working at getting back to people. So, but there's a built-in time delay, and a lot of that I think has got to do with the virtual. There's just something about being able to put pressure on somebody if you're sitting there in chambers with the judge, and a judge can say, you know what, respondent's attorney, here's what we're going to do. You go make a phone call. Let's go see if we can get this resolved. And it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen on the video calls. It just doesn't. The judges I appear in front of, that does not occur. And for Social Security, it's never going to occur because there's nobody to communicate with until you get to the hearing. And the same for the pensions. So we're dealing with usually deputy attorney generals, but they don't have authority to even negotiate these things. There's no negotiation. It's either you win or you lose, because it's got to go back to the pension board, the agency. So again, I think there's a thought process that, you know, we're not moving fast enough. And it's like, believe me, I'd love to move faster if I could. So it's always a function of making sure that we're doing everything we can to move as fast as we can, because we want to get your cases resolved too. And again, a lot of the times, part of what I tell people is that, look, we're in the boat together. We're swimming in the same direction. The only way that I'm going to be able to get you stuff and get me paid is by getting this resolved. So there's a function of that. But timing wise, for workers' compensation, you have to remember that the first part of that is treatment. So not until that treatment is done does the workers' compensation case move forward. Once the treatment is done, all right, now we can move forward. And that time frame from being done with treatment, for the most part, till we get your case resolved, can be basically is about 9 to 12 months. All right.